Okay, so figured I would just make a quick video here of the piles of junk computer room here. And hello. This is a Macintosh 637 CD. This one and this one. Uh, this is a computer that I just picked up today. Um, this machine came in its original box, its original packaging, the whole 9 yards. It was a Facebook Marketplace find. It was pretty reasonably priced. And so I've hooked up here and I'm about to try it out. And so I figured, well, why not film what happens or doesn't happen um, on the first startup since I've gotten it. This machine, I believe, is original configuration. So this is a 68040 processor. This is a 33 megahertz machine. It is the LC, as they call it, processor, which means it does not have an FPU in it. It has 8 megabytes of memory in it. I did pop the system board out of it before I attempted to plug it in, just to make sure that nothing was rolling around in there or anything that needed attention before putting power to it. So I believe it has got the original Apple part number sticker still on the SIM. So it is still an 8 meg machine. I believe the box says it has a 350 megabyte hard drive. So we're going to find all that out. I've got it hooked to this keyboard and this mouse. So we're gonna power it up here in just a second. One more little bit of information about this machine. The machine wasn't terribly valuable to me. I have, I think, 3 of these. And it certainly is a little more yellow than I was hoping for, a machine that had been in a box for most of its life, so told. But the monitor is really the more valuable part of the machine. This monitor was very commonly sold with Performa packages in the mid-90s. This machine is a 1994 monitor and CPU both. But this is a really nice monitor for anyone who has mid-90s Macs. This is a Sony Trinitron monitor. It's a 15-inch monitor. It's a multi-scan monitor. I am not sure what the maximum resolution on it is. I would guess it's 800 by 600. It might be 640 by 480. We can probably try that here when we get this computer going if it turns on. But this is a very good, rugged little monitor. I've had a couple of these over the years. And while this one here is a little bit yellow, and you can kind of see on the door here, and maybe there were some stickers or something here. Usually the door is missing, actually. Usually that little door gets so brittle it falls off. These are really good monitors, and they have a very clear picture on them, and they seem to be pretty durable. I had the last one of these was in my storage unit, and it has since expired from just, the moisture, and just never put your electronics in a non-climate controlled storage unit for extended periods of time. Just a piece of advice for everybody, I suppose. So let's see what we can do here. Let's see if this thing will come on. I've got it sort of on a little power breaker bit here. I can't remember which one of these does it. So this machine does have soft power, so you do have to turn it on with the keyboard here on this little button here. Unlike the one underneath it, which is mechanical power. So let's see what it does. Well, that's certainly a good sign. We have a startup chime and a green power light. Hard to tell from the video, but the monitor light is orange right now. It's in power save mode. So let's see after it counts up its massive amount of 8 megabytes. There we go. Turns green. And let's see what it does. If the monitor displays a picture, then you won't have to stare at me in the reflection anymore here. But it might need to be turned up a little. Oh yeah, look at that. And of course, the phone is probably going to pick up weird discoloration and flickering. However, it's booting up, and that's pretty cool. And it sounds to me like it does have a little jingly quantum hard drive in it. So I would be interested to see if it's still a 350 meg drive that's in this computer. Yes, I'm sure someone didn't shut it down in 1998 when the last time it was on. Okay. So, yeah, so that clock battery is done. And the monitor just made a very strange pop and a little bit of bloom. So, see what happens there. Okay, so I was incorrect. Maybe. Says that the built-in memory is 36 megabytes, which means that is a 32 meg sim in there, which is a good problem to have. It has more RAM than I thought it did. It does appear to still be an Apple part numbered sim, so I'm sure that costs somebody quite a bit of money in the day. And the monitor is not very happy. However, the computer works. We have 203 megabytes on the disk and 143 megabytes available, which means this is probably the original Quantum 350 hard drive. These machines are IDE hard drive controllers in these instead of the traditional SCSI that Apple had used up until now. So upgrading the hard drive is pretty easy by standards. I think you can put, I want to say that you can have a bootable drive up to about 4 gigs. I have a few 3.2 gig hard drives kind of laying around that I've usually put in these. And I don't remember the details because it's been a while since I've really tried anything on a 630 series machine. But I believe there is something about, I think you can put a bigger hard drive than that in it, but I believe it will only boot to that drive if either the drive is below 4 gigs or maybe the first partition on the drive is below 4 gigs. There is something about the size or partition size limitation that for the boot volume. This machine will run a maximum OS stock of OS 8.1, and my other 631 CD has 8.1 on that. I actually do suggest that people try System 8 on these, OS 8.1. I've sort of heard a little bit of banter about, that's a really big OS for a 68K machine and yada, 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 because, the original iMacs shipped with System OS 8.1. But it is actually, in my opinion, it's just as fast on a machine with over 32 megs of RAM than System 7.5 is. It certainly has the potential to boot faster. It gives you the newer interface like OS 9 would have, OS 8 and OS 8.5/6 and OS 9 and 9.1 and 9.2. So it gives you the sort of more modern interface, and it gives you a lot of the more modern features, a lot more control panel items, and a little bit newer version of Open Transport and etc. like that. I just think it's a more modern OS if you want to run that on your older machine. I've always ran OS 8 on the 630s. I don't see a performance drawback of that on these machines. It is considerably more RAM hungry, which is why I wouldn't suggest it on a machine that has less than 32 megs. You can find 128 meg sims for these machines on eBay for about $20 at the time of making this video. My other 631 has a 128 meg sim in it. These machines only have one sim socket in them. However, the 631 CD board, the Performa 631 board, For some reason, that particular board has a second SIM socket in it, so you can potentially have even more than 128. The only caveat to that is that the second slot in the 631 CD, you can only put a single-sided SIM. So, although this guy here is a 30 pin, so ignore that. But this is a single-sided SIM, whereas, because, you know, I have a bunch of junk laying around here, I thought I had a 72 pin SIM that was a double-sided. I could just show you. But back to the other SIM. Some memory modules have chips on both sides, and some only have on one. So the 631 board, you have to put one socket takes a single-sided one like this, and then the other one has memory on both sides of that, chips on both sides of that. Back in the day, you could get, I think you could put a 64 and what was it? The one I had was, I think, maybe a 48 meg machine, something like that. I don't remember. It's been a long time. But 128 meg sims for 20 bucks on eBay. That is your way to go. This guy here, these two take the same RAM, basically. They take FPM 72 pin modules. The Performa / PowerMac 6100 underneath this one has 256 megs of RAM plus the 8 megs of onboard. Makes it a very nice machine. This machine, this one here, is also has a PowerMac G3 upgrade. So between the 256 megs of RAM and the 240 megahertz G3 upgrade, it's not a bad little retro, machine. It certainly was terrible as a 60 megahertz computer. But yeah, that 256 megs on a it would take the 256 as the original 60 megahertz 601, and that certainly did make things a lot snappier, especially when you can turn the virtual memory off and you don't have the hard drive swap all the time, because these hard drives are not fast. The interesting thing, a lot of people will argue that, from this gen, these are both 1994 model machines. This is like a November. This one is like a December, maybe. Here's the thing. IDE drives in here are slower than a SCSI drive, in theory. The bus is slower. But when you're talking about drives from this era, the actual consumer level drives that they put in these, which some were these sort of cheap IBM drives, later to become Hitachi drives, the Quantum drives, they weren't fast drives. SCSI or IDE, they weren't fast drives. I would be willing to wager that even though that you could have the same drive mechanism in an IDE or a SCSI, a 350 meg drive probably came in both variations. At the time, there really wasn't a significant difference between the speeds on them. And here's the thing, if you put a newer IDE drive in this, like I bought a lot of 5 Western Digital Caviar 3.2 gig drives. And the other 631 has one of those, and it is way faster than the SCSI drive. And this had this one here had a Seagate 2 gig drive in it, and it's SCSI. I think it's like a 10 meg SCSI bus. But disk speed benchmarks were faster on the 8-bit IDE 3.2 gig drive than that 2 gig Seagate drive that was in that. And I would attribute that just to newer drive technology and faster seek times, just basically a better drive hardware. None of these drives are coming anywhere near saturating their data bus. So at least with a newer IDE, it's putting out more throughput than the stock drive would have. So I think there's nothing wrong with an IDE drive. They're certainly a lot easier to find and usually way less expensive to find than if you look around on eBay and you're seeing people selling 40 meg quantum drives for $85. And I don't know why anybody would do that. I don't understand, especially when you can get a SCSI to SD card adapter, which is what I now have in that 6100 there. I think $75 or $80 or something for that. I mean, there's no contest to that. I mean, I get it if you want the experience of having a 40 meg drive, and like if you have a Mac Classic or an SE or something. But those drives are, well, first off, they're not reliable anymore. The quantum drives were not particularly reliable when they were in their heyday. There were a lot of lots of drives that bearings would go bad. They'd sound like they would get this whiny, awful drone to them. Some of them had the rubber sticky bumpers where they would drive, the head would park and the glue on the bumper would stick the head, stick the arm in place. And there were a lot of problems with the quantum drives, and most Apple drives were quantum. They also used Connor peripheral drives, like in the Mac Classic and some of the little black and white Macs. I think Miniscribe, I think the 20 meg drives in the Macintosh SE, those were not good drives. They would get all kinds of stepper calibration problems. You'd eventually have to low level format the thing to get it to be usable again. That's a pretty screensaver. So anyway, I just thought I would make a quick little intro video of this and babble for a while, because why not? And yeah, so I hope you enjoyed that, and me holding a phone and shaky camera and all of that good stuff. If anyone has suggestions, assuming that I post this video onto my YouTube account, if anyone has a suggestion of what they would like to see, or any machines that I may have that you would like to see some operational aspect of them, I would be glad to do a video of that. I have a lot of machines here. I have a lot of old PCs. I have a lot of old Macs, mostly 68K Macs. I have a few PowerPC, 2 or 3 PowerPC machines, and then some G3 machines. I have a couple of iMacs. Have some Apple II stuff. I have an Apple IIc right there. I have some Apple IIes. I have hold on, I think, where is this thing? Oh, I also have a room full of, junk. I have an Apple IIc Plus, which is kind of cool. Needs a little bit of cleanup work. It is a survivor of the storage unit. It does still work, and it hasn't melted or burned. I did have to replace the floppy drive in it, and I need to clean the keyboard up. It looks like superficial dirt, but it seems to be some sort of staining that is on the keys, but I can remedy that. I'll just have to take all the keys off to do so. So yeah, I have a lot of interesting machines. So anything that you would like to see, feel free to message me, or email me, or let me know. Or at this machine, if you want to see something about this machine, I would be more than glad to do that as well. So have a great day. It was fun doing the little video, and hopefully someone enjoys it. So thank you.